Hi everyone, Fast the Fashion Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this new Boldy James and Real Bad Man album, Killing Nothing. Bojack is back, Detroit rapper Boldy James, hitting us with another full-length album, continuing his very attention-grabbing and prolific streak of records that he's been dropping since 2020, which kicked off with The Alchemist produced The Price of Tea in China. Boldy's career is well over a decade old at this point, but it's only been as of late that he's been truly turning heads, and recently it seems he's been doing all he can to squeeze everything out of this moment he's currently in. Boldy also treated us to 2 Alchemist-produced projects in 2021, and now we have the first batch of songs he's given us in 2022, which are produced from front to back by Real Bad Man. Now, Boldy teamed up with this West Coast producer back in 2020 with a record that he dropped very close to the end of that year. The project was titled Real Bad Boldy. It was solid, but also kind of short, and also I think overshadowed by the higher peaks artistically Boldy had already shown us earlier in the year, whether that be again Price of Tea or the amazingly produced Manger on McNichols. So again, Boldy has teamed up with Real Bad Man on this one for a project that is bigger, is longer, also shows these two at higher levels of chemistry and performance. For those who are uninitiated, Boldy James isn't exactly the most animated or enthusiastic rapper you're going to come across. Terms like cold-blooded, deadpan, and measured are maybe more fitting descriptors. Truth be told, his delivery still does leave a little something to be desired for me, especially on the very dreamy and low-key Seeing Visions. But overall, I wouldn't say Boldy is lacking in expression. There is a weary and scarred quality to his delivery that lends weight to the grim tales of death and drug deals that usually paint his rhymes. It's almost as if Boldy is putting a trauma-induced numbness on display, which I think makes his unflinching tales of hell on earth on these 13 tracks here even more chilling. Not to mention Boldy is a little more up on his hook game this time around too, with Real Bad Man's production sounding especially cinematic in some pockets, like the lumbering beats, twinkling pianos, and eerie drones all over Water Under the Bridge, or the glossy and suspenseful keys hanging in the air throughout Game Time, occasionally punctuated by what sounds like these very bold horn triplets. There's also these really heart-wrenching piano embellishments and sax leads on the track Bojack, Miller Lite. I mean, there are some so-so pieces of production here and there on the record, but the biggest puzzler comes in the form of the track Sig Sawyer and 5 Mississippi, which have noticeably different beats operating behind them, but they use really similar guitar arpeggio flips on both of the tracks that kind of leave both of the beats feeling back to back like just a moment of deja vu on the LP. But as I said earlier, Boldy's hook game has also been upped on this project too, like on the track MEDELLIN, where he says that we are the MEDELLIN and these other people are just MEDELLIN, which is an amazing bilingual turn of phrase on this LP and one of many bits of evidence of Boldy's lyrical prowess. Also, heading in this direction lyrically makes Crime Apple a great addition to bring into the fold as a feature, and that white privilege line that kicks off his verse is hilarious. There's also Boldy's chorus on the track Cash Transactions, where tragically he emphasizes his preference of dealing over rapping, despite how dark and grim and horrifying and also troublesome of a life that is. But as he says on the track, the moment that he touched $500,000, he fell in love. There's also the mesmerizing refrains of tracks like Game Time, as well as Water Under the Bridge, where even though Boldy does get a little wordy, his lines still stick with me as I listen to these tracks again and again. Now, there are some hooks and refrains on this LP that run a little too wordy though, kind of bulky, almost as long as a verse, and at that point it's, you know, almost non-functional as a hook, like on 190 Bands or Sig Sawyer. But ultimately my biggest issue with this LP is Boldy's still continuing lack of versatility, because undoubtedly the guy has pen game and he lends a very tight lyrical focus onto these stories of dealing and death and debauchery like few others do in this generation, but there's not a whole lot of variation to how he approaches these tales and experiences, vocally and narratively. Maybe the biggest switch up on this LP being Seeing Visions, where he kind of reminisces over a similar series of details, but through what kind of feels like a psychedelic psychedelic experience. And as a result, I feel like that leaves it to the production to really make these tracks feel varied and like you're actually moving from one song into another song into another song after that, because it's certainly not Boldy who's breaking it up. Still, there are elements to his artistry that I can't deny, and overall I do think this is a solid project. I can totally see why this is getting the praise that it is across the internet. And once more, it is better than the last project Boldy did with Real Bad Man. But still, I guess I was still hoping for something else a little extra to keep me coming back to this thing and also make it stand out in the grander scheme of Boldy's quickly growing discography. I'm feeling a light to decent 7 on this one. Transition, have you given this record a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Boldy James, Real Bad Man, forever.